Hello and welcome to Mobility Outlook Conversations. Today we have one of the special guests who have disrupted the electric two-wheeler segment with its innovation and engineered approach. Mr. Tarun Mehta, co-founder and CEO of Aether Energy, to talk about the current scenario and future perspective of the company. Hi Tarun, welcome to the show.
Hey, hi Dipanshu. Pleasure to be here.
So, one of the first questions that I would like to ask is that Aether Energy is one of the front runners in the electric two-wheeler segment. So, how do you plan to further disrupt the market with new products?
So, um, we launched our products about two and a half years back, and the starting vision for our products was that we strongly believed and still do that customers will start buying electric only when there's a certain amount of product pull, a certain amount of aspiration to go electric. I
Right,
don't think the market goes electric on count of care for the environment alone or care for sustainability alone. I think fundamentally the way to shift the entire market to electric is to create fundamental desirability. So that's been the heart of how we've thought about the product at Aether. I think the original scooter that we launched, 450, was a true innovation and was, I think, a market disruptor. It forced everybody, including I think the rest of the industry, to look at
right,
electric in a very different way.
right,
I remember electric scooters back then were essentially vehicles that were classified as low-speed variants,
right,
and for a long time, traffic policemen did not believe that it needs a license to drive an Ather,
right,
because the general assumption was that electric scooter means no license.
right,
I think 450 was able to change a lot of these conceptions for good. People experienced a performance which was not just good enough, but was better than petrol scooters.
right.
We were able to introduce market-leading connectivity features: Google Maps, navigation, 3G connectivity, touchscreen on an Indian road, on an Indian scooter, built in India. So I think 450 was a genuine disruptor, and with 450X, which we started selling a few months back, I think we have pushed the envelope further. It's the performance variant of the 450 platform, but it's now the fastest accelerating scooter ever produced in India. And that's not just electric, that's any scooter. Recently, this has won the Best Scooter of the Year awards.
Okay,
We've upped the connectivity angle significantly on X. We moved from 3G to 4G. We've introduced Bluetooth, and on the back of which, we're going to be now introducing more accessories. We've been pushing software upgrades out at a pretty furious pace. So the
mm-hmm,
vehicle's been literally upgrading itself every other month and
right,
getting better and better.
right,
Um, so that's what we continue doing. We really believe in this story that you have to build vehicles that are incredibly exciting. Do
mm-hmm,
that, and the market will start switching to electric really rapidly. And as more and more customers buy electric, they buy our products. They are helping fund development of newer variants, newer products.
right,
Their purchase today creates the volume and the business scale required to
right,
build a more mass market variant.
mm-hmm,
And hopefully, in the next 2 years, we'll be able to launch more and more variants and lower price points and sell to wider and wider chunks of the market.
okay,
But it's a simple strategy here. Build something super exciting, super aspirational, build a lot of volume and a lot of business scale there, use that business scale and as a leverage and launch more and more variants at
yeah,
reducing price points.
right. Nice, nice approach. Do we get to see an electric motorcycle from Aether Energy?
Not in the
If
super short term. I think I do think that most of the Indian two-wheeler market will become a scooter market in the next decade.
okay,
I think about 70 to 80% of all two-wheeler sales will be scooters,
okay,
purely because given the utilitarian nature of the scooter, it has to work for the entire family. It has to have storage space. It has to
right,
be easy to drive, and a scooter wins that argument hands down compared to a motorbike. I think
right,
a motorbike has a special place, but it's a limited place, which is that of performance, that of drivability, that of a certain ergonomic posture, like a cruiser bike. And I think those segments remain, but they are a small chunk of the market. So
okay,
today our focus is extremely sharp on the scooters. We would work on the motorbike segment, but not this year. It's a few years out still.
Okay. So, but you are thinking on those lines and to bring an electric motorcycle.
We want to transition every single segment of the country to electric. The 20 million two-wheelers that are being sold every year in India, we believe all of them need to go electric in the next decade, and more. The number needs to grow. So as part of that, obviously motorbikes can't be left out. We will work on motorbikes, but it's still a few years out.
Okay. Okay. How are you viewing the current landscape of the electric two-wheeler segment? Do you think more competition is needed to spread awareness?
So absolutely. I think every time, like the biggest challenge in the EV space today is still the fact that most people don't know about electric, right? Most people don't have enough options. Most people have not even experienced an electric vehicle.
Right.
I think no single company can solve that problem in isolation. You need multiple players with hundreds of dealers each, presence across every single zip code in the country, getting
Right.
people to experience electric, like forget exact brand, exact segment, just the sheer experience of electric.
Right.
90% of the people, 99% of the people have not had that yet. So from a market perspective, you need more players to help spread that faster. I think even from a supply chain perspective, you need more players in the space. The more the players are, the more the OEMs that there are, the more suppliers will be able to sell their products to. And the more products they sell, the faster their price points will drop. So I think from a supply and a demand side perspective, there's nothing like more competition.
Okay. And if I may ask, like, how are you currently viewing your current competitors? Is there anyone near to Ether or any brand you admire in the electric two-wheeler segment apart from Ether Energy?
Right. So I think the overall Indian two-wheeler space is a very nascent stage right now, and we really haven't entered a place where there's a lot of competition in a segment. Also, we've chosen to position ourselves pretty sharply in a segment. We are not trying to sell to all the market today, right? We're
Right.
pretty clear that 450X is a sports scooter. 450 Plus is a premium scooter. And in the coming years, we will launch something in the mass market, in the commuter space, but you don't have products that way.
Right.
There are products in the very entry level segment, but there
Right.
is a significant middle that is still left empty.
Hmm.
And there are companies like Bajaj and TVS and now Ola, which are looking at that segment, the 1 lakh to 1,20,000 rupees
Right.
segment. I think that's a very interesting segment, and I'm very excited about all the product launches that are due for it through the next 1 year. It will help immensely with customer awareness, almost like nobody else's, nothing else. So in the specific segment where Ather is, there is still very limited. There is actually no player today there.
Right.
Let's see if somebody introduces a product in that segment. But today we are seeing most launches happen in a different segment, not the premium one.
Okay. I still remember, in our last conversation, when you were building Ether in your early stage, there was a one problem that you cracked. That was the difficult puzzles of the Indian automotive industry, and that is supply chain. And you were, able to solve that and move forward. I would like to ask you, what are your current challenges right now, and how are you tackling them?
So I think supply chain was a pretty big piece to work on, especially in the last 2 years for us at Ather. Stitching together an electric vehicle supply chain in India has not been easy, and growing them, growing together with them, stabilizing their processes, learning from them, taking that back into our own products, doing cost reduction with them, doing process optimization with them. I think it's been an incredibly big learning for us. We're very happy with where we have finally come to. The supply chain is incredibly robust. It's almost completely local. Almost all international imports, at least at tier one, now off the table. So it's a great place where we have finally come to. Our key big challenges in the next 2 years, I would say, are distribution and network expansion. We have incredible demand from every part of the country. There are 13,000 dealers, 14,000 dealers who applied for a dealership for Ather. Our biggest challenge is that we are still present only in 11 cities. Right? Like there are hundreds and hundreds of zip codes from which we already have pre-orders. how to open up sales to all of them. That's the biggest thing to crack. March, May, we had, I think, close to 30 or 40,000 people who booked a test ride.
Okay.
We're not able to get a test ride to even half of them. So
Right.
I think our biggest challenge in the next couple of years is ramping up our reach so that we can actually reach out to all these people who want to experience an electric car. So that will be a biggest focus area over the next 2 years.
Okay. So my next question was on this only, and in the, like, you have recently expanded to many cities,
Right.
and with this robust expansion, and can you please throw some light on your retail strategy? What does the next phase look like?
So as I said, the next phase is for us is all about distribution expansion. I think we've begun really well. In fact, we've begun faster than we anticipated. We're already present in 11 cities, and another dozen cities are in different stages of opening up through the next few months. We should close this financial year with between 30 to 40 cities that are live with an Ather Experience Center. The strategy is simple. We are it's a partner strategy. So we have retail partners, our dealers in all these new cities. We work very tightly with them on the experience center design, on the sales experience, on the charging infrastructure experience, on the service experience. We make sure we have the tools, they have the systems, they have the training from us. In every city, we begin with one experience center. Bangalore is about to get the second experience center now because Bangalore's grown up a lot in volume. But otherwise, in every city, we begin with one experience center. And then what we do is we set up a lot of satellite pop-up stores. So this is the hub and spoke model. So where we have a lot of these small micro stores across the city, which are open for between 4 to 6 months, where people can come and take a test drive. And then as the volume builds up in that specific locality, we will look at converting them into full-fledged stores. So that's the retail strategy. It is definitely, it has a healthy mix of offline experience, though a lot of our demand continues to be funneled online. We get almost half of our demand online, and then we funnel it back to these retail centers in the city.
So that's kind of a hybrid model that you are looking at, right?
It is. With the customer's preference now, it only makes sense to have a strong online presence now.
From the technology point of view, you mentioned about the Bluetooth connectivity over the air updates. So can you please take us to the journey, what has been so far that has been developed by Ather, and what kind of updates we can look in the future?
So we made a lot of progress from the first generation Ather 450 to 450X. As I said, we moved from 3G to 4G. In fact, just a couple of days back, I think just today, we've already started giving our older customers, the ones who bought a 3G scooter, we've given them an option to upgrade their scooter from a 3G connectivity to now 4G connectivity. So we've offered them a hardware upgrade. So we moved from 3G to 4G. Our processor has improved significantly. We've moved from Linux to Android. We've added new driving modes. We've added new lighting options. We've added new sound options. We've improved navigation experience significantly. We have pushed Bluetooth functionality and recently turned it on in all 450Xs. And there are a series more of software upgrades planned through the year. The idea is to deliver a vehicle experience which keeps improving over a period of time. See, when you buy a petrol scooter today, the vehicle is as good as it will get on day one. And if there are any problems or issues or not so great experiences, you just have to live with it. That's what that version was, right? And 3 years from now, you will probably have a better variant, and you can't do anything. You'll have to just go buy a new variant if you want. What we want to try and solve is that you don't always need to buy a new hardware for a lot of these features. We want to try and bake in a lot of these software-led improvements. And we want to push these out as software upgrades so that your scooter keeps improving over a period of time. See, your vehicle is as good as it gets on day one. And after that, it's a depreciating piece of asset.
Right.
Our pitch to you is that we will work on actually improving the scooter. So what you bought in 2019 was X, but now after 2 years, it's gotten a little better. Right? Now that's what our ambition is, and that's what our entire software roadmap is geared towards.
Okay, talking about your manufacturing, what level of plant modernization you have done in automation? If you can just throw some light on that side.
So the biggest change that's happened with the new plant that we have set up is obviously efficiency has gone up dramatically because it's just a bigger plant and we've been able to improve work processes significantly. But specifically on the battery line, we've been able to introduce a lot more automation, a lot of manual steps from cell pickup, drop, testing. All of these have been pretty almost 100% automated now. This improves quality and this improves throughput quite significantly. In our case, we're almost a 50% reduction in the output time. So that's the battery side. The vehicle side is still largely manual. As the volume goes up, we will work on introducing more modernization there, more automation there, sorry. But apart from that, from a data perspective, obviously following industrial IoT principles, Industry 4.0, almost the entire plant is connected. We are able to track and directly feed the data back to our ERP systems. So all that good stuff is already there now.
So you're also working to improve it further?
Obviously, this is at a very early stage where our manufacturing is, I would say it's like in the teenage years. Right. This is nowhere close to being an adolescent plant. It will undergo a dramatic change a few times before I think we can call this a mature plant. This is still at a very early stage.
Was moving to Hosur was a strategic plan from Bangalore?
It was actually, I don't know if I call it strategic. We needed a larger place, and our biggest selection criteria was we wanted the plant to be no more than hour and a half worth of drive from the Koramangala office. Okay. And funnily, that in our case, shortlisted Hosur in Tamil Nadu.
Okay. So with this rapid expansion and positive outlook, what do you think you will require more funds to expand, or?
So we are in an early stage today. While last month our unit economics turned positive for the first time, there is still a sizable amount of investment that the sector will take to grow and mature into a multi-million annual sales. Remember, the aspiration is to convert the entire 20 million two-wheelers in India, new two-wheelers in India being sold every year, into electric. And the aspiration is to get there in the next decade. So there is a sizable amount of investment that will go in CapEx, into new products, into distribution and charging investments. So yes, we will fundraise more in the coming years. For now, we are well capitalized, but we will raise more in the coming years.
Okay. One last question on and that's a quite famous question, like on government policies. Are you happy with current state of government policies right now? And what startups like you should expect from the government?
So I think the central government policy, especially with FAME 2 and GST reductions, are great, and they are very much on point. I'm fully supportive of those. I think there is an opportunity at a state government level to offer more incentives to customers to help with a faster transition to electric. It's still limited to only a few states and on an ad hoc basis, on a limited basis. So there's a big opportunity for state governments to offer more incentives at a local level. There's also a big opportunity at a central level to guide policy towards setting up of home charging points. Today, if you are a homeowner, if you live in an apartment complex and you want to install a charging point, you don't really know how to install one. It's not super hard. You can take a line from your home meter, or from your house. It'll cost you between 3,000 to 5,000 rupees, maybe on the upper end 7,000 rupees. But with that, your parking lot is going to be electrified. But most homeowners don't know how to do it. So I think what will really help is if government is able to create some sort of a mandate that requires apartment complexes to set up electricity supply in parking lots. And this is something that no private company can solve. This is only something that policy can solve. So my big expectation from the government at state and central levels is to create some enabling policy for home charging infrastructure.
Okay. One question I missed, but I would like to ask it, like, do you think that the current component manufacturers in India are well established to support companies like you?
I think the supply ecosystem is growing significantly. And you're right, actually, now that you mention it, that was my second point for government support. I think the government has a big opportunity to incentivize supply chain setup today in India. India has the potential to become the EV manufacturing hub for all of Southeast Asia. Not just because the largest OEMs will be here, but also because the largest supplier ecosystem will grow in India. You want to supply in Indonesia, you want to supply in Thailand, you want to supply in Vietnam. India can become a natural hub for all of you. For motor manufacturers, for cell manufacturers, for electronics manufacturers, India makes the natural hub for their R&Ds, for their procurement, even for their manufacturing. So government has a huge opportunity to drive more of that volume in India, and policy support, incentives, tax supports will play a big role in driving that. Where the current supply ecosystem is, I think it's at a healthy place. It's not fully grown, it's not fully mature, but it's growing very furiously. Especially the last 18, 24 months has, I would say the overall supply interest is probably like 10x of what it used to be in the past. And every single supplier that we know is committing to EV investments right now. Nobody's not having a strong EV policy, EV strategy. So I think that's a very healthy and a very welcome change. In fact, it's plotting on a place where if the government pushes it a little bit, we will become the default hub for EV manufacturing and automation.
Thank you so much for giving your time, Tarun. It was lovely talking to you.
Always nice talking to you, Dipanshu.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.